Greece is one of the richest countries in the world. Food, beaches, culture, and especially history. Greece's historic impact on Western civilization is immeasurable, and it would take a lifetime or more to see all of its important historic sites. You, a traveling history buff, however, only have 10 days to see as much as you can. Hi, my name is Dylan, and welcome to Pondering Adventurer, where I cover travel, history, and the outdoors. And in today's video, I'll show you an action-packed 10-day trip through Greece that I used to see as much history as I possibly could. As you may have guessed, this adventure starts in Athens. Here in Greece's capital city, the first thing you're going to see is the famous Acropolis. This rocky outcropping has been occupied since the Neolithic Age and has been an important administrative, political, and religious site since the Bronze Age. Your entrance to the Acropolis will begin on its south side. One of the first things you'll see here is the 6th century BC theater of Dionysus. This theater hosted plays from ancient playwrights like Sophocles, Euripides, Aeschylus, and Aristophanes. After passing the Stoa of Eumenes, you'll run into the great Roman theater called the Odeon of Herodotus Atticus. From here, you'll round the corner to the west side of the Acropolis and ascend the steps up towards the great gatehouse called the Propylaea. As you ascend the steps, you'll see the small temple to Athena Nike, which dates to the 5th century BC. Once you pass through the Propylaea, you'll be at the top of the Acropolis. Here you'll see the famous Erechtheion with its caryatids, and of course, the iconic temple to Athena, the Parthenon. Most structures here date to the restorations of Pericles in the middle of the 5th century BC following the Persian retreat back to Asia Minor. Fortunately, your next stop is conveniently located right next to the Acropolis. It's none other than the Acropolis Museum. This museum sits atop ancient ruins of the old city which are visible below the floor. Here you'll see many different artifacts related to the Acropolis. Most famously, though, you'll see 5 of the original caryatids from the porch of the Erechtheion. Controversially, the 6th is housed in the British Museum in London. After exploring the Acropolis Museum, take a quick break and enjoy a freddo cappuccino before the next stop. For the afternoon, you'll head to one of the greatest museums in the world, the National Archaeological Museum of Athens. This museum is one of the greatest collections of artifacts I've ever seen. Here are some of the things you won't want to miss. First, the Bronze Age collection. This section includes Mycenaean and Minoan artifacts that date back to the time of the Trojan War and beyond. Some of these artifacts include 3,000-year-old swords and daggers, the Mycenaean bull's head, gold mask of Agamemnon, boar's tusk helmet, and Minoan paintings that depict boys boxing and wild gazelles. The Nama also includes incredible statues from the ancient Greeks and Romans. Some of these include the Jockey of Artemision, the Poseidon of Melos, bronze statue of Augustus, statues of Poseidon and Zeus, and more. A few others to see while at the Nama are the arrowheads and spear points from the Thermopylae battlefield, and the ancient star tracker device called the Antikythera mechanism. Day 2 takes us to the largest island in the Greek Cyclades, Naxos. Here, you'll spend the next few days exploring the island. In my opinion, the best way to get around is on a quad. My wife and I rented one of these, and not only was it easy to get around with, it was also a blast. Probably the most iconic historic site on Naxos is the Portata. The Portata is a large gate structure and is all that remains of an ancient 6th century BC temple to Apollo. The temple was never finished, however. Its construction was initiated under the tyrant Lygdamus, who was never able to finish it as his reign over the island was put down by the Spartans.
Naxos also has some incredible Byzantine churches. Here are two that you'll want to see. First is the Church of Panagia Drosiani. This monastery is one of the oldest not just on Naxos, but in the entire Balkan region. It dates to somewhere between the 4th to 6th centuries AD. And it was only in the 1970s that the older back portion of the church was revealed during excavations. This church got its name from a miracle described by local farmers, in which they prayed for rain during a drought, and shortly after their prayers were answered. Henceforth, the church took the name Drosiani, which means dewiness or humidity. The other Byzantine church you'll want to visit is the Church of St. George Dioscorides. Dating to the 11th century, St. George Dioscorides is known for its unusual architecture. It was built in the shape of a cross, with symmetrical lines and a dome. Unfortunately, when we visited, it was closed. Word has it that the inside is covered in beautiful medieval frescoes. After 3 days exploring Naxos, day 5 takes us north to Greece's second largest city, Thessaloniki. This city is packed with incredible history. With only staying 1 day though, here's what historic sites we visited. First is the Arch of Galerius. This triumphal arch was built by the Romans in the 4th century AD. More specifically, it was built by the Emperor Galerius. Galerius reigned as one of 4 co-ruling emperors in a system known as the Tetrarchy. His capital was Thessaloniki. The reliefs on the arch depict scenes from his military campaigns against the Sassanid Persians. Our next stop is right next to the arch and was built by the same man. The Rotunda of Galerius is another iconic feature of Thessaloniki. This unsupported dome has survived invasions, earthquakes, and time, in part due to its massive walls 20 feet in thickness. Inside, you can still see frescoes and mosaics dating back more than 1,500 years. Before leaving Thessaloniki on day 6, I would highly recommend stopping by the Hagia Sophia. This one was built shortly after the original in Constantinople as a replica. The ancient artwork on the inside is spectacular and is made even better if you visit during an Orthodox consecration service. From Thessaloniki, you'll drive 1 hour to the west to the small village of Vergina in the Pierian Mountains. Here in this tiny Greek town in the middle of nowhere is one of the most incredible things you'll ever see as a history buff. It's time to visit the Vergina royal tombs, the final resting place for the family of Alexander the Great. The tombs sit underneath an earthen mound, and once you enter, the display of artifacts connected to the ancient Macedonian royal dynasty will knock your socks off. 2,300-year-old swords, daggers, spearheads, shields, and pottery are everywhere. The real stars of the show, however, are the contents of the so-called Philip cluster of tombs. These artifacts include royal gold wreaths worn by members of Alexander's family, including his father, Philip II, gold larnaxes containing royal bones after the funeral pyre and ceremonial washing, a set of armor worn either by Philip II, Alexander's half-brother, or even Alexander himself, and a shield with ivory carvings on its boss. You can still admire the tomb facades as well. The color of the paint and the designs themselves are still visible above the doorway. While in Vergina, you should also visit the nearby Aegae Museum to see more amazing ancient Macedonian artifacts. And now the actual royal palace at Aegae is reopened to the public. This is the location where Philip II was assassinated, and also the location where Alexander the Great was coronated as King of Macedon in 336 BC. Before we move on to our next stop, I want to give you a hotel suggestion for Vergina. It's called Estate Kalaitsis, and this small estate on a vineyard overlooking the Macedonian plain turned out to be a real hidden gem. The views were amazing, and so was the food, which is homemade as you order it. Stakalitsis is a convenient 10-minute drive from the tombs. For day 7, the journey takes us west through the Pindus Mountains to the region of Epirus. Along the way, a great stop for lunch is the picturesque mountain village of Metsovo. We stopped at the Galaxy Hotel's restaurant and enjoyed an amazing goat dish. About an hour drive west of Metsovo, you'll reach our next stop, the ancient theater of Dodoni. The site of Dodoni held massive importance not just to its native Epirus, but to Hellenic people in general due to the fact that it was home to another oracle similar to that of Delphi. Achilles even references Dodoni in Homer's Iliad. Today, the highlight here is the Great Theater. This 17,000-seat theater was built in the 3rd century BC by King Epirus of Epirus. Epirus is widely considered to be one of the greatest generals of the ancient world, and he famously fought both Romans and Carthaginians. The site of Dodoni is a short drive from the city of Ioannina, which is where we spent the night. Day 8 takes us south and east into Thessaloniki. On the way down, about an hour and a half drive from Ioannina, you'll reach your first stop. Tucked into a canyon and perched along a sheer cliff face is the 12th century monastery of Kipinas. This monastery served as a holy refuge for Orthodox monks and Greek rebels hiding out from bandits and Turks. As you'll come to see on this adventure, ascetic monks took church building in austere places to another level. Your last stop of the day will be your home for the next few nights. Welcome to Meteora. There are plenty of stays in the 2 nearby villages of Kastraki and Kalambaka. Day 9 is dedicated strictly to Meteora. The word Meteora means suspended in air. These 1,000-foot-tall sandstone monoliths holding up a series of monasteries live up to their name. Monks began establishing hermitages in the mountains here as early as the 11th century. Eventually, larger and more permanent churches were built. Most of the current monasteries were built between the 14th through 16th centuries. As you drive along the road that connects the monasteries, you'll find 6 that still stand today. Some of them may be closed on the day that you visit, but for us, Varlam and St. Stephanos were open. Varlam is one of the older monasteries and features incredible Byzantine architecture and an intricately decorated chapel as well as a museum. St. Stephanos offers some of the best views of the Thessalian plain and the village of Kalambaka below. Remember to dress modestly if you want to enter the monasteries. Shorts won't do for men, and women must wear long skirts and have their shoulders covered. Day 10, the final day on your Greek adventure, takes you south again with 2 absolute must-see places for history buffs. The first is in central Greece, and it's an ancient battlefield that inspired one of the most entertaining action/historical epic movies of all time, starring Gerard Butler. Of course, I'm talking about 300. And get ready, because you're going to see the battlefield of Thermopylae. Here in 480 BC, a massive Persian army of somewhere between 80,000 to 200,000 men was halted by a Greek coalition of around 5,000 to 7,000 men. The Persian king Xerxes sought revenge on the Hellenic people for their role in the Ionian revolt in Asia Minor, as well as the defeat of his father Darius I at the Battle of Marathon 10 years prior. The Greek coalition, which included fighting men from many different city-states, was led by the Spartan king Leonidas, 17th in the Aegean line. Famously, Leonidas brought along 300 fellow Spartans to halt the Persians. Our main source for the battle, Herodotus, tells us that Leonidas and his men took up positions at a wall built by the Phocians, and for 2 days, wave after wave of Persian assault was repelled by the Greeks. On the second day, A local Greek man named Ephialtes, seeking reward, told the Persians of a path around Mount Kallidromo to the rear of the Greek position. That night, Ephialtes, leading the Persian general Hydarnes and thousands of veteran troops, took the path around the mountain. On that third day, Leonidas was made aware of the situation, and after sending most of his coalition home, he maneuvered his 700 Thespians, contingent of Thebans, and 300 Spartans into a wider part of the pass. When battle commenced, the great Spartan king was in the thick of the fray and was struck down. Both sides fought for his body, but the Greeks ultimately took possession. Soon, Ephialtes and the Persians descended the mountain pass to the Greeks' rear. And according to Herodotus, the remaining Greeks made a last-ditch effort by retreating to a small spur. And there, now surrounded, had their last stand. The story goes that all were killed by storms of arrows and javelins. Today, due to 2,500 years of sediment deposits, the waterline has retreated several miles out. And though still visible, has given way to marshes and farmland. Where the highway is today is about where the waterline was 2,500 years ago. You'll be able to see the statue of King Leonidas standing above a monument to the battle. On the monument are reliefs depicting scenes from the fighting. Flanking the monument on both sides are personified statues representing Taygetos, the tallest mountain in the Peloponnese, and Eurotas, the main river that flows through Laconia, Sparta's former territory. Next to this monument is one dedicated to the Thespians, who also stayed behind and perished with the Spartans. Across the highway at the foot of the mountain is an unmarked path going into the brush. If you follow it, it will lead you to a remaining portion of the old Phocian wall, which was used by the Greeks during the battle. Near the path is Kolonos Hill. This is the spur that Herodotus references where the remaining Greeks made their final stand and ultimately perished. Remember those arrowheads and spear points you saw at the National Archaeological Museum of Athens? This is where those were found. At the top of the hill is the plaque with a quote by the ancient poet Simonides. It says, "Go tell them in Sparta, stranger passing by, that here, according to their word, we lie." After Thermopylae, you'll head south for your final stop on this 10-day journey through Greece. No adventure in Hellas would be complete without visiting Delphi. High up on the slopes of Mount Parnassus is one of Greece's most important historic sites. Delphi served as a political, administrative, recreational, and religious center. Most famously, though, Delphi was the home of the other oracle besides the one at Dodoni, which we also visited earlier. The oracle, or Pythia as she was called, would interpret omens and give counsel to important visitors from around the Greek world. Today, you can visit the Temple of Apollo where she hosted her guests, the famous Tholos and the Sanctuary of Athena that was built in the 3rd century, the Athenian treasury where Athens kept safe their wealth and loot from various conflicts, and the Great Theater at the top of the complex. There's also a museum housing incredible artifacts as well. While you're in Delphi, you'll also want to stop by the small water fountain on the sidewalk next to the ruins. This fountain is connected to the ancient Castalian spring, in which visitors to the oracle washed and drank from. Though these are far from all the Greek historic sites that you should visit, this should give you a great bang for your buck if you have 10 days to spend here. If you weren't already, I'm sure this journey will spark not only your continued curiosity for the past, but also your respect for Greece and its contributions to Western civilization.
If you're interested in learning more about some of the subjects that I covered in this video, I do have videos on my channel covering the Acropolis, the National Archaeological Museum of Athens, the Vergina Royal Tombs, Meteora, and Thermopylae. So consider checking those out if you're interested. And also consider subscribing to the channel if you like travel, history, and the outdoors. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.